Grab a cup of coffee and start your Sunday with Change Your Attitude, Change Your Life. Change Your Attitude, Change Your Life features stories to inspire, motivate, and empower you. Live your best life now. Listen, learn, think, and decide. Change Your Attitude, Change Your Life. Every Sunday morning at 9 on the Talk of New York, AM 970, The Apple. Visit cyacyl.com.
Good morning, this is Change Your Attitude, Change Your Life. I'm Joan Herman. Thanks for tuning in. Many people search for a soulmate, a significant other that they believe will make them feel happy and complete. Other people settle for unhappy or even abusive relationships out of fear of being alone. Throughout our lives, we're taught that being alone equates to being lonely. Today's guest, Lauren Mackler, a world-renowned life coach, psychotherapist, and author of the international bestseller, Solemate, Master the Art of Aloneness and Transform Your Life, is here to tell us that it's possible to experience a sense of wholeness and well-being, whether you're in a relationship or on your own. Lauren was named one of the top 10 coaches in America by Vitals magazine. She is a blogger for the Huffington Post and human behavior and relationships expert on CNN and Fox. Lauren is the host of the weekly Life Keys radio show on Hay House Radio. Good morning, Lauren. Thank you for joining us today.
My pleasure.
Lauren, we're taught from an early age that being alone equals being lonely, and that we need another person to complete us. I mean, look at our fairy tales. They all have princesses and princes that have happy endings, and, we're taught that we don't want to be an old maid, and when we're alone, we believe that there's something wrong with us, that we're unlovable. So with all these negative images of single life, is it truly possible to embrace being alone?
Well, yeah. Before I address that, I just want to clarify for our listeners. I want people to know that the book is Solemate, because immediately when people hear soulmate, they think the other kind of soulmate. And so I just we did a little play on words on that. But yeah, you're absolutely right. Not only do we have a lot of negative associations with being alone, but it's something that we are taught to fear, feel ashamed of. Like you said, there's something wrong with us. And that conditioning starts really early. But I think it's even more than a fear of being alone. It's about this stress on relationships on other people. And no one's really talking about, unless maybe if we're lucky, when we're older, we go into therapy or something. But when we're little and we're being taught about how to function and how to operate and how to lead a healthy and fulfilling life, most parents are not talking to their children about the fact that their relationship with themselves is truly the primary one, because it's the only one that is going to last 24/7 from the time they're born until the time they die. And we neglect ourselves. We don't know how to have relationship with ourselves. And that's really what the book is about. It's not necessarily about being alone, although it's very useful for people that are living a single life. It's really for everybody, because it's about wholeness, and it's about learning how to truly have a healthy and joyful and respectful relationship with oneself.
And I'm glad you said that, because I was going to add that it's also for people who are in happy relationships. To expand upon that for a moment, why is it important for the people that are in these happy, fulfilling relationships to master the art of aloneness?
Well, let me kind of give you the overview real quick, the thumbnail sketch of what really the book is based on. And that is that when we're born, we're very whole, integrated human beings. We're born with innate personality traits and innate strengths and talents and gifts. We're born with the ability to feel and express all of the wide range of human natural emotions. And we're born with a very intact self-esteem. And then the life conditioning process begins, and we become shaped and molded based on our environment, our experiences, role modeling, all of those things that shape us and create kind of an inner template by the age of 7 years old. And that template becomes the foundation for how we see ourselves, how we see the world, how we interact with the world, how we treat ourselves. And because most people come from families where there's some kind of dysfunction, they're no longer whole. There's parts of their wholeness that have been kind of chipped away or diminished or even completely disenfranchised. So in the unconscious quest for wholeness, most people grow up and they try to find completeness outside of themselves, very often through another person. And when you do that, you're dependent on someone else, whether it's for your emotional stability, whether it's for your sense of self-worth, whether it's for your security, whether it's for your self-identity. And if and when that person goes away, you get divorced, they die, then whatever they provided for you, whatever that dependency was, you are no longer complete. Not only that, but when you come into a relationship from a place of incompleteness, you tend to be needy, you tend to be demanding, and it definitely contaminates relationship. So when you've got two people that have taken responsibility for their own sense of wholeness, understanding who they are, and taking responsibility for their needs and being able to articulate them and set boundaries and treat themselves well, then they're less needy, and it's a very different type of relationship.
And you know what I found interesting? In your book, you wrote that for the first time, more American women are living without a spouse than with one, and Americans now spend half of their adult lives outside of marriage. So if this is the case in today's world, why have our attitudes not kept up with these trends?
Well, like you said at the beginning, Joan, I don't think anybody's written any new fairy tales for a while, And so we keep defaulting back to the old story. And if you look at media messages, commercials, magazines, there's still articles and the way that, that even though the women's movement has certainly moved a lot in 40 years, a lot of things have changed, but there still remains this mindset. We haven't really caught up with the fact that the reality is that nearly half of all American singles or adults are single, and people don't realize that. And I think we're still kind of stuck in a time warp of this mindset of love cures all. All you need is love. And if this feeling, if I just had somebody to love me, life would be grand and wonderful. And it's kind of a temporary. Certainly we need love, we need affection, we need support, we need nurturance. We are sexual beings. We need all that stuff. But it really starts with oneself. And if you're not okay with you, then whatever ails you, you're going to play it out in the marriage one way or the other, or in a relationship one way or the other. So that's one of the reasons I wanted to write this book, was to help change that mindset and help people reframe aloneness as an opportunity to learn more about who you are and grow and develop and live, mindfully to align how you think and how you behave with the results that you want and the kind of life that you want.
So now we understand the importance of why we should adopt this philosophy and start to work on ourselves. How can we go about doing this? Let's talk about some of the fundamental keys to make this change.
Okay, so the Solemate book is actually designed as a step-by-step process, because I have read, and I'm sure you have as well, and many of your listeners have, read tons of books that are really informative, they're enlightening, but then there's kind of a gap between how do I integrate this information into action to produce change and lasting change. So I have the book kind of set up in two sections. One is, the first part is what I call uncovering your conditioned self, which is understanding where you come from, what the patterns are that drive your everyday behavior, which of those patterns may have made sense growing up, but they're no longer producing the results that you want. In fact, you might be getting detrimental outcomes.
Right.
And then the second half is all about retrieval and liberation of what I call your authentic self. So the first step is what I call embracing your aloneness. It's doing a very honest self-assessment to say, how am I doing in my life? How do I feel? What's my internal environment like? Do I walk around feeling confident and calm and relaxed and joyful? Do I walk around feeling insecure, ashamed, bad about myself, angry, resentful? Do I enjoy my time alone? Do I know how to feed my sense of self-worth and confidence from the inside out versus from the outside in? What areas of my life are working well, which ones are not? And how do I embrace aloneness, which is really another word for relationship with oneself? How do I really embrace that as an opportunity to develop a more joyful, fulfilling, whole, meaningful life for myself? So that's the first step, is embracing it and being able to really do an honest assessment. And then the next part is really digging down into the past, and that's the uncovering your conditioned self. And that's not necessarily an easy process, because many people have a very painful background. They've gone through, childhoods that were less than ideal. But it's a very important piece of work, not to go down into the muck and mire and, get stuck in there and relive all your trauma and all that stuff, for over and over again. But simply to assess, to evaluate, to understand and connect the dots between where you are today and where you've been. What are the conditions that you grew up in? What are the limiting beliefs that you may have internalized and are rooted in your subconscious that you may not even be aware of. What are the habitual behaviors that you do every single day that keep, bringing you further away from the life that you want to have instead of closer?
Digging into the past, is this something that requires a professional, or can we do this work on our own?
Well, it's designed to make it as easy as possible for the reader. For example, I have quizzes. I have what I call a family system quiz, where it asks you questions so that you can actually score and see to what degree was your family system a healthy, constructive family system, to which degree was there dysfunction and what type of dysfunction was it. There's a quiz to identify what was your primary role in your family. Were you the hero, the straight-A student, always trying to be responsible and do the right thing and get recognition by what you did? Were you the, mascot, the one that was babied, that was coddled, that was, given all this special attention? Were you the lost child, feeling insecure and bad about yourself? Were you the rebel, acting out? These kinds of little quizzes. Now, what I do encourage the reader, especially people that come from traumatic or extremely painful backgrounds, is this work, will start to dig up some things and some emotions may come up. And if you need support and guidance and somebody to help facilitate, you through this process, by all means. But, if some people absolutely don't need that and they can identify it and they can, move through the process on their own, because I try to design it as clear and concisely and easily for the reader to be able to do the work. But I would say it really depends on the person, and if people start to have some things coming up that they want some help with, by all means they should find somebody that is, an effective professional that has background in family systems work, particularly for that chapter.
Lauren, we're going to take a break. When we return, we will continue talking about the steps to master aloneness. This is Change Your Attitude, Change Your Life. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Hello, my name is Dr. Michael Sapienza, board-certified chiropractic physician and director of Mecca Integrated Medical Center, located in Fairfield, New Jersey. Did you know low back pain is the #1 cause of disability in the United States, and that studies have shown that 80% of the population will experience low back pain at some time in their lives? With weight gain being a major cause of back pain, we must do our part during the upcoming season to avoid gaining the holiday 15. When it comes to Thanksgiving dinner and beyond, the following tips will protect your belly and, more importantly, your spine from adverse weight gain. Do not drink more calories than you eat. Some soft drinks and juices are loaded with sugar and can have as many as 500 calories or more per can. Stick with drinking water to avoid unnecessary calorie overload. Make every attempt to satisfy your hunger with protein-packed food. Turkey is one of the leanest meats you can eat, so feel free to splurge. Just make sure to not ruin a good thing with excessive gravy, stuffing, and mashed potatoes, as these foods are high in carbohydrates and fat. Portion control is a must, and no portion should be greater than the size of your palm. Lastly, do your absolute best to fill up on the main course so there is no room for dessert. If dessert is a must, fresh fruit is an excellent alternative to the sugar-packed cheesecakes and pumpkin pies we may be used to, and your midsection will thank you for it. Weight gain is one of the several causes of low back pain. While changing the way we eat may rid us of achy backs and joints, there are cases which require further treatment and intervention. Our office specializes in comprehensive, state-of-the-art, non-surgical treatment of back and neck pain. If you or someone you know is in pain and would like a complimentary consultation with one of our doctors, please call my office at 973-943-4300 or on the web at www.meccamedical.com.
Cetus Home Care Services is a non-medical home care company that assists you in caring for your loved one. Their trained caregivers provide the peace of mind that is important to you. Whether at home, in a nursing home, or an assisted living community, Cetus will help your loved one live a dignified, independent lifestyle. Cetus Home Care Services and professionals are as diversified as their clients. Call Cetus for more information, 973-746-0165, or visit cetushomecare.com.
Change your attitude, change your life, and big, believe, inspire, grow. Salute the entrepreneurial spirit of small business owners, people who follow a dream, work hard, and make it happen. This week's Spotlight on Aha Design is brought to you by REA, a global consulting firm that provides career and transition services to individuals and relocating families worldwide. In today's challenging economic times, it's more difficult and more important than ever to focus our thoughts on the positive aspects of life to create positive energy around us, since like attracts like. AHA Design was created to increase joy and peace in your life by reinforcing inspirational words that speak to your soul. AHA Design's custom jewelry is a powerful reminder that you must create a positive state of mind in order to cultivate the life you've always wanted. The Ask, Believe, Receive Prosperity Silver Jewelry Collection helps you to focus on your positive thoughts and intentions throughout the day. For more information or to purchase jewelry, visit www.ahadesignllc.com. Enter the voucher code APPLE by December 1st and receive 10% discount from your order. A portion of the proceeds goes to globalgiving.com. AHA Design, accessories empowering you to heal from within.
6 months ago, I was transferred to Seattle, Washington. My family and I made the move. My wife, Kay, initially focused on getting our new home built, enrolling our children in school, and maintaining our temporary housing. Throughout the process, an REA consultant stayed in close contact with Kay until she was ready to start her job search. After Kay enrolled, her REA consultant called her about an opportunity that was a perfect fit. The consultant helped Kay update her resume, provided salary information and market comparisons, and coached her on interview strategies. Within 2 weeks, Kay was offered the position, and the REA consultant coached her through the salary negotiation process. Kay accepted the job. Thank you, REA, for making our move and transition easy. If you need career relocation assistance, career transition outplacement services, or executive coaching, contact the experienced professionals at REA. For more information, please visit r-e-a.com.
Welcome back to Change Your Attitude, Change Your Life. I'm Joan Herman, and our guest today is Lauren Mackler, life coach, psychotherapist, radio host, and author of Solemate, Master the Art of Aloneness and Transform Your Life. Before break, Lauren was giving us the steps that are necessary to master aloneness. And the first one that she spoke about was embracing aloneness. The second was digging into our past. And Lauren, what would be the next step in the process?
I do a chapter on fear, managing fear so it doesn't manage you. Because I've found through my work and through my own life personally too, how fear can hold you captive. And it's kind of like elastic bands, keeping your feet stuck in the mud when you're trying to move forward and bring your goals and your vision and your dreams to fruition. Very often fear is one of those big barriers that holds us back. Mm-hmm. And most people's fears, fear of rejection, fear of failure, fear of not being good enough, all those kinds of very fundamental common fears are very often rooted in one's life conditioning. Again, going back to the past, because this is where the inner template is. And if you don't get your arms around that and start addressing those kinds of patterns at the root level, you're not going to be able to achieve transformation. So, for example, and I'll give your readers a little takeaway in terms of an actual tool, I have a 5-step process to managing fear. And the first one is to acknowledge it, to embrace it. Instead of trying to resist it, trying to avoid it by keeping busy or drinking a couple of martinis at the end of every day, or folks getting lost in a relationship or whatever it is that you use for distraction, food, common thing. Really have the courage to say, okay, what am I actually afraid of? Name it. Name the fear. I'm afraid I'll fail, or I'm afraid I'm not good enough, or I'm afraid I'll look stupid, or I'm afraid people will think I'm, foolish, or I'll say the wrong thing, or whatever it is. Step 2 is really play out that gloom and doom movie, because you're playing it anyway. Just do it mindfully and consciously. Really look at the movie that you're playing in your head. What are you seeing? All these bad things happening. Because the imagination, the emotions can't tell the difference between our imagination and reality. And we can invoke a very strong emotional reaction just by imagining something, just by playing that movie.
Right.
So really play out that gloom and doom movie from the beginning all the way to kind of the worst case scenario that you're running in your head. Step 3 is do a reality check. See if those fears, that movie, has any real basis in your current here and now life and reality. Because 9 times out of 10, or even more, you're going to find that it's really not based in reality. It's based on an old memory, an old experience that you're sort of superimposing over today, and it's causing this emotional reaction called fear, and it's holding you back. So do a reality check, break it down. What's really true? Has that ever happened? Do I have the resources to do this? Do I have the intelligence to do this? Have I ever held a decent, really articulate conversation with somebody? Those kinds of things. Step 4 is change the movie. Consciously replace the gloom and doom movie with what you want to have happen and play it out in sort of living technicolor. You have to have the discipline to move from that old movie and implant something else. Write it out if you need to, and then look at it and read it every time you start playing the other movie. And the last step, which is really very, very crucial, but you have to have done the work before to be able to identify it, is identifying the limiting belief that set the whole thing in motion. So, for example, if you're afraid to go to a networking event where you know there's going to be a lot of people that you don't know, and you're afraid you're going to say the wrong thing, you're going to appear stupid. Well, usually what's driving that fear is a deeper limiting belief about yourself or about the world. And maybe it's based on something like, I'm incompetent, or I'm not good enough, or I'm defective, or whatever it is, and really understand what set that thing in motion. What is the limiting belief that you have to really get to that will, help you manage the fear going forward?
Lauren, if we do the self-analysis and we embrace our aloneness and we do the work into our past and we work on getting rid of fear, we'll start to create this sense of wholeness. And once we do this, is this what you mean when you say that we become the person that we want to seek, the partner that we're trying to find?
Yeah, I have a whole section on Become the Partner You Seek. And it's a pretty powerful approach to not only being whole, but also to setting yourself up as a prerequisite, as creating the foundation for it when you do want to bring someone into your life, when you are ready for, conscious partnership or marriage, that you're going to be attracting a very different person. I said earlier that we have this unconscious quest for wholeness, and we look outside of ourselves. And by the way, that's usually why opposites attract. More often than not, we are attracted to people that embody those parts of us that were diminished or lost in our own life conditioning, what I call our lost parts. And that's a big reason why opposites attract. So becoming the partner you seek, and I have an exercise where I have the readers, and I do this with my clients as well, I have them do a visualization, and I walk them through it to identify every single attribute of who their ideal partner would be. And maybe they're married and they're still doing this exercise and looking at, the level of alignment or disparity between who they're with and what their vision is. But identifying the attributes of their ideal partner, things like what kind of personal qualities does this person have, what kind of life circumstances, very specific kinds of things. How do they treat themselves? What kind of physical shape are they in? All those kinds of things. And then I have the person go through and check off those attributes that they've identified that are also true about them today. And those that they can't check off are what I call their gap areas. And instead of trying to find somebody to complete and bring those qualities or attributes into their lives, it's doing the work to create those attributes and those life circumstances for themselves. And so it's a pretty powerful process, and it's becoming the partner you seek. And when I said earlier that when you're in a relationship when two whole people are in a relationship, there's less neediness and demand because they don't need the other person to make them feel complete to the degree that somebody would who's not complete.
And Lauren, we're talking about all of this in relationship to, let's say, a romantic type relationship, but I would think that this applies to even just attracting the type of friends you want into your circle. So it's really it's not just romantic, but it's surrounding yourself with the type of people that are whole the way you are.
Absolutely, and that's I'm so glad you brought that up, Joan. That's brilliant.
I have my moments.
Yeah, well, no, it's great because we replay the patterns that we learned growing up, including the interpersonal dances and dynamics growing up. We replay them all over the place, not just with a romantic partner. We replay them at work. Mm-hmm. Our boss becomes mom or dad or our sibling,
right.
Or coworkers become the sibling. We replay them in our friendships, and at the grocery store to the clerk, that's bagging the groceries. We very often will get triggered and react. And I have actually a section in the book where I list the attributes of a truly supportive, healthy friend and those that would describe an unhealthy dynamic in a friendship, because a lot of people don't even know what it is because they don't have that point of reference. They have more of a dysfunctional point of reference than a healthy one. So absolutely, that's a very critical part. It's who are you going to surround yourself with? What kind of relationships are you going to engage in, not only romantically, but in terms of friendships?
The book is Solemate, Master the Art of Aloneness and Transform Your Life by Lauren Mackler. If you'd like more information about Lauren and her book, you can visit laurenmackler.com, and that's Mackler. And as always, you can visit our website, cyacyl.com. That stands for Change Your Attitude, Change Your Life. While on our site, listen to past shows as podcasts, read our digital magazine, and sign up for our mailing list. Again, Lauren, it was wonderful having you here today. In 30 seconds or less, what would you advise someone who's making progress but then slips back into that negative thought process? What would you say to that person to keep them on the right path?
Well, for 20 years I worked affirmations, and I realized that putting a statement up on my refrigerator didn't do it. You have to say, what do I need to do to create the new experience and the new internal reference point and the new outcome? That's the key. You've got to take action. Do something that is going to give you a new experience, and that's how transformation happens. You do it enough times where you create a new internal reference point, and now it becomes part of your new comfort zone and habit, overriding the old patterns.
Thank you, Lauren. This is Change Your Attitude, Change Your Life. I'm Joan Herman. Thanks for tuning in.